Hey everybody. Okay, today I'm going to show you, well, one thing we do is I teach how to do this. Now, this is a grayscale, and you can kind of see it right here. And I match my color, whatever I'm using, to this grayscale. So if I'm doing a picture in graphite, I want my grayscale to be in graphite. I don't want to trust this. And the reason why I don't want to trust this is because of this. I will grab a picture here. There's not one black on here like this. This is a manufacturer, but it gives you the example. So if I'm going to do a picture in this, using this, I want my grayscale to be based on this and not that. And you can kind of see I'm trying to match this up, go a little darker, and you can kind of get to the point where your grayscales, see how it's starting to blend in a little bit. So that's how you use a grayscale when you're trying to draw or paint or anything. Now, some people, now so you can see how this gets lighter. This one matches, and this is actually lighter than this. Well, hold it. Let me see. Okay, so this actually goes with this. This will start separating. Now watch what happens if I darken this up to go with that value. And what you're looking for is to blend in. Okay. Now all of a sudden this becomes lighter and this becomes darker. Okay. Now why would you think it's so important to see these values? Sorry about that. Okay. Well, a lot of the reasons why is because when we work in color, the first mistake we make is we assume this is white, so this is a different color, 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 when really it's just shades of white and values of gray. So even though this is done in color, it's kind of the same thing. I'll use here, let's use this right here. If I use this picture of my, okay, there we go, sorry about that, I'm going to put this a little closer. Okay, so if I use my picture here, are my value, how far off are my values in comparison? So if I'm going to take a colored picture, I'm going to say, okay, what value is that? When does this start blending in? Okay, let's go to here, go to here. Okay, see how this stands out? So I'm going to say this is about a 5 right here. Now let's go here. Does that match? Or is this too dark, this is too light? That's the reason why you use these, because in the initial stages of learning how to draw and paint, it helps you establish that value sense so you can naturally do this. Now the biggest problem everybody has is when we translate this to paint. So what I'm going to do is I have my, hold on, I'm going to grab a sponge. I have two areas here. I got clean water, dirty water. I also have my palette over here. Let me move that. Okay, let's see if you can see that okay. No, we can't. So I'm going to move this over just a little bit. In fact, I'll just switch this to this, like this. Okay, so we have our palette. Now I have a glob of paint here. Nope, can't see that. Hang on. Let me see. Nope. Okay, it's right about here. Okay, so we have our value. We have our dirty water, our clean water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my clean water, go into here. I'm just going to work up about 2 tablespoons into my bad water. Wipe, clean water. It also saves a lot of problems when you're trying to use clean water to do your stuff. I'm going to pull it out here so you can see I got a different value sense. Okay, now my brush is pretty well done. My paper's already been sized. And what I'm going to do is I want to go from dark. So I'm going to pull up here as close as possible. Wiggle my brush. I'm going to load it. I want it to crawl about halfway. And see, that's going to dry quite a bit lighter. And obviously my palette isn't flat because all the water drained down. So I'm going to go up here. I want to work this up. Okay. Now this right here, once I do this, there we go. I'm going to dip it in, swipe, next value. See how light it is? Next value. So once you do your first one, then you're going to go in here. Now see these right here? Now I'm going to have to go in and try to match that. So I'm going to come here. Okay, you're going to let this dry. Also not the world's best. Let me see if I can get this level a little bit here. I can use dirty water for this part. Okay, good. See how it's not moving? Okay, that's what I want. I want my darkest value closest to the puddle, and I want to bleed it out here. So I'm going to come in here. I want to wiggle this up. And this also might mean that, yeah, see? Okay. There we go, that's a better shade of there, but that's probably going to dry lighter, so it's probably going to dry for this one. Now, once these dry, believe it or not, you can go work over top. Okay, there's the value right there. I sponge this off because I want to be able to soak up the paint. Now I want to go for that next value. So see how this is drying almost completely black? That's that value right there. So you're trying to match that. So whether you work in paint, you work from this, okay, and you can kind of see that's already too light. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go over that. Once this stuff kind of sets up, always want to use clean water. And this is actually a Klinsky Red Sable. I like Klinskys. I don't like the other. I can use synthetics. So I'm going to come in here right there. I'm going to take this and go over top, and see that's not really getting me that darkness. So we'll wait. But I will come over here, and let's see. There. Now is that value too light or too dark? The strange thing is that notice how the water is just staying in the specific area. It's not bleeding or moving around. You have to ask yourself why that is. Well, this piece of paper, is drawing paper. Let me grab, oh, sorry about that. Let me grab this. Okay, this piece of paper is a sized watercolor paper. Hang on. And this piece right here, believe it or not, when you watch the color, come here. There we go. I didn't realize my table was tilted back so far. You want to have a flat surface when you do this, because when you work this stuff up, you want to make sure everything's level. Now even this water has a value. So if I come in here like so, you can kind of see it. We don't want that. We want all our color to be like this. We want all our values to be like that. Clear and clean. Okay, so if I'm going to create my value system, I'm going to scrub to the puddle. And typically when I teach this, I have you put down a fresh puddle and you work it up. You go into the side and you wiggle your brush. That doesn't mean this is ready to paint, but it can be. But also, we dip, we dip, we dip. Now what are you noticing about these shades right here? Okay. Now because I'm going out here, so I went darker because I added more paint to it. So let me do this. Different values. 1, 2, 1, 2. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values. And now this is kind of set up a little bit, so I can come in here and darken that up. Okay. Once it dries, I can do this. Now typically what I always suggest doing is using a blow dryer. So you can see a significant difference between this value, this value. These are 201. This reminds me more, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's about 7 values here. Let me see, 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. These are pretty close. So say 6 values. Okay. Now the object of the game is, can you do this where you can go in here, just dip it in one time. Now see, that right there is starting the process. I've been out of this for a while. So the object of the game is, can I recognize values? And values play, like I said, values play an incredible part in being able to establish black and whites, dimension, shadow sides, light sides, and stuff like that. So without that, you're really not going to create a picture. You're going to create something that's kind of flat like a drawing. So understanding values help you do exactly what was said. Now, okay, I'm going to go back over that. I'm going to darken that up. Now see, this created made it a little bit lighter. I'm going to darken that up because that has to be a little bit lighter. Now I'm going to do this. What happened? I'm going to have to come out here. Why isn't the paint soaking in? It has to be a dry surface. So if I come in here and I do 1, which is lighter than that, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wipe your brush. So now you can start seeing a graduated form. So again, when we're looking at things, we're really looking at this. Okay, from this to this. And the more you work with your paper that's been sized, what I mean by sized is this paper has been washed. You wash your watercolor paper before you use it. Now most people don't understand it, but there's a sizing in there, and that sizing has to be washed off. If you wash off your sizing, then you're going to have the paint is actually going to absorb in. If you leave the sizing on there, the paint's going to sit on top. And the way you can tell this works is I've got a dried area here. Let me wipe my brush. Let me move this. I will show you. Okay, this is regular just drawing paper. If I come in here, so I can kind of lift that and move it around, that means in this paper, which is yay thick, there's a lot of sizing to that to hold it in place, which means the paint sits on top instead of soaks in. You want your paint to soak in, so you have to size your paper. Now let's go to this one. I'll find one that's dry. Okay, if I come in here, I'm going to sponge my brush. If I've done my job right, and every now and then I do, see how it doesn't move the paint? Okay, unsized every time. So you have to size your paper. That means you put it in a warm bath, you let it soak, and that's the way you prepare paper, and then you let it dry. Now typically they tape it down. I don't have you do that. I have you just work as is, because it's easier to do. On top of that, you don't have to fight with it, and you learn how to work with the control of your paper. Now if you really want to get specific, I'm going to raise you up here, and this is when you stretch watercolor paper, that's, yes, that blue horse is stretched watercolor paper. So I'll pull you in closer. And there's some issues with it, but it's all been sized and stretched. Drum tight. It will stay drum tight forever, even when there's a lot of humidity. So you can kind of see I'm working on him. I like some of the bloom. I just like the whole premise of him. So this gives you the idea on how to do this and how to make it so you're working on stretched watercolor paper. Okay, and over here you can kind of see the sketch here. This one hasn't even been started yet. But both of these are done on 90-pound Arches cold press watercolor paper. Okay, why 90 pound? Why not 140 pound? Well, 90 pound actually folds a lot easier when it's wet rather than 140 pound, which can tear on you, and it's a thicker paper so it doesn't stretch quite as nice. So 90 pounds is always best. Okay, I'm going to turn you around. Okay. Hi everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Learn to do your values above anything else. And even myself, after being around this as many years as I have, I still do beginning classes. Why? Because if you understand basics, they will follow you all through. You can't never go wrong if you really understand basics. You won't go wrong by your paintings. You won't go wrong by how the color looks. And remember my 320 rule, which is a hard and fast rule, at least it should be. 3 minutes at the easel, 20 minutes back. 3 minutes at the easel means I'm going to go up to my easel, I'm going to work for 3 minutes only. And then when I'm done, I'm going to put my brush in my water, or I'm going to just put it away, and I'm going to go down for 20 minutes. I'm going to sit back this room just like this here, and I'm going to study. This is about 20 feet right here. So I'm going to study that horse probably for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Make sure. Now I've had this picture up, you know, I've been studying quite a while, so it's time to get back to it. But my main point is that the longer I'm away from it, the less damage I can do to it. Because when you're this close, you're seeing all the things, and I think I can fix this, I think I can fix this. And pretty soon, you've overworked your painting. And we've all done that. So the basic rule is 3 minutes gives you enough time to work on the painting, do enough damage, and then stop, step back, and you haven't taken it so far you can't correct it. Or you can't work with the mistakes. Or you can't say, wow, that's a cool mistake, I'm going to keep it. Go back in, work a little bit, 3 minutes, step back. If you have a hard time judging, because most people do, what I suggest doing is getting a 2 egg timers. One set for 3 minutes, so your mind, so you have this internal clock, so it actually coordinates with that. Eventually, you know, oh, I got to stop, step back. Now there's a couple primal cues I want to talk about on that end of it. One, a primal cue is like, God, I think I can fix this. That's the stopping point, okay? We don't no more take these cues anymore. So the stopping point means that if I'm working, I'm going, oh crap, I think I can fix this. That should tell you right there, I need to put my brush down, I need to walk back. Or it doesn't look right, stop. That's a primal cue. Anything that makes you kind of question, or just an instinct, like you feel like, God, they might be taking this too far, stop. It's just a thought process, stop. You can always go back to it, you're not going to forget about it, you're going to have your reference there, you're going to have your painting there. That makes it really easy to complete the painting and actually do it the way you want with less mistakes, okay? Now obviously on this horse I've got some problem areas that where some paint dropped and stuff like that, but I'm going to correct that in the final painting, okay? After I glaze over it with a Nova 233, which is also archival. That's going to protect the painting, and then I can go over top of it with titanium white and clean up all the background and stuff like that and make it a mixed media. Yeah, I can do all those things with this watercolor right here. So there's a lot of things you can do, but the main thing on the 320, 3 minutes at the easel, 20 minutes back, 20 minutes gives you the time to study it. Then if you study it, you got a good point, just start. Now that 320 actually goes reverse when you first walk in your studio. You sit back and you spend 20 minutes studying that before you even start. Don't even walk up and grab a brush till you've had the time to relax, study it, and say, okay, because you have to reintroduce it. Nobody, unless you've been working on these every single day of your life, 24/7, or think you can walk right in and say, okay, I know what I need to do. Okay, don't do that. Just stop, relax, look at it, study it, say, oh, now okay, familiarize yourself with it. Your palette's probably still set up, sitting right there, everything's ready to go. Work for 3 minutes, hit the timer, go back, study for another 20. Okay, I cannot be honest with you that usually it's about a 2-hour work time for me to beginning to finish on paintings. That's 2 hours of work time, which means that's 320. It might take you a few months to get to that 320 to finish that painting, but it's still about 2 hours of solid work time. Now, the study time after you finish a painting is a little bit different, but right now we're just going to concentrate on 320 to get you started. So anyway, guys, hopefully the value thing works really good for you. Hopefully the study thing works really good for you. Hopefully the 320 rule works pretty good for you. I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for viewing this. And I'm going to turn you around so I can turn the camera off, and you'll get one last view of the horse. Okay? There you go. Okay, Kevin out.